Alright, so in this video, I just wanted to talk about the talents for the Engineer. So the Engineer, as it is an epic card, note it does take these faction cores to ascend the talents. So you're going to want to kind of just keep that in mind, utilize those faction cores carefully. If there's 2 units from the Technogenic Society, you're trying to ascend their talents at the same time, you're going to have to kind of pick and choose which one you really want to invest into. And no, because the Engineer is an epic card, it's just going to unlock those talents at a little later stage than some of the rarer common cards, because you only unlock it once you get to level 7, where if we go to like the Archer, it's going to get its first talent unlock at level 4. But back to the talents for the Engineer. So for your first level 7 talent, you're going to have the options between the Incendiary Barrage and Fast Recharging. So the Incendiary Barrage, what it does is upon appearing, so whenever you summon an Engineer, and then once every 30 seconds, the Engineer is going to drop a part that's going to give a random Engineer and the Engineers around whatever Engineer gets the part and attack for 10 seconds. Their attack's going to deal 30% AoE damage in the area around the target. This is kind of a neat one just because it does help for clearing those regular waves. The Engineer is a first target only single target unit, so this talent can be nice because it has the potential, and it's not super consistent, which is the only downfall, but it has the potential to really help you do some AoE damage and clear the waves if you don't have stuff in your deck that can do that instead. So it can kind of offset and help you there. The other option is the Fast Recharging. So upon appearing once every 30 seconds, Engineer still drops a part. The part will then increase the attack speed of a random Engineer and the Engineers near the Engineer, same like the Incendiary Barrage. Whichever Engineer gets the part, they'll have an increased attack speed by 30% for 10 seconds. So it doesn't do an AoE damage, but it will still give that part, which will give all the Engineers around whatever one gets the part bonus attack speed. This was going to be more helpful for just attacking bosses and stuff, just because you don't really need an AoE damage to deal damage to a boss, but if you can just obviously attack the boss faster, you'll still kind of get some of that benefit there. Then onto the level 10 talent. So we have the shield screen, which upon hit, so whenever the unit that gets a part from either the Incendiary Barrage or the Fast Recharging, whenever a Engineer gets that part, the part also has a 35% chance of casting a shield on the Engineer, which gives them protection against one negative effect, and this shield kind of just hangs out there until that negative effect occurs. So, which is helpful just because when you're going up against bosses, every once in a while you'll have bosses that will like change up the units or throw meteors down at your units. So having that shield screen can be nice because it will shield your Engineers from those negative effects, which can really screw you up especially if you have like a long chain you're trying to preserve. So that's where the shield screen can come in handy. And then the other option, there's a 15% chance of a part being able to ricochet into a random Engineer. After the boss appears, there's also a 35% chance that the Engineers are going to drop a part. So this is really just a bit more offensive minded, and you'll kind of see later just how those more parts, just being able to drop the parts, will increase all the damage of your units, and you can kind of get some of those effects. So that's where overtime's kind of neat, because that parts will ricochet and give multiple Engineers those bonuses. So it's kind of up to you which one you want to utilize. This one's going to be kind of better just as far as protecting your units against bosses, protecting your formation, but this other one can, if you combo it with like the Incendiary Barrage or whatever, you can just deal more damage, kind of to help deal with some of that AoE stuff a little more consistently, as well as you also do just get more parts when a boss spawns, so you can still combo that with the Fast Recharging as well. So onto the level 13 talents, we have Optimization, which the maximum bonus from it from connections is achieved with 10 engineers in the chain. Usually you can go up to 15 just because that's the most space you're going to have on your map. But what optimization does is it allows you to reach that maximum bonus faster. So you don't necessarily have to have as many engineers in that chain, which is nice, because if you're playing in a match and you just know you're not gonna be spawning that many units, or just working with a deck that you don't want to just only have to focus on getting all engineers, this talent can be nice just because it allows you to get that same attack bonus but with less engineers in the chain. And then the other option is the flanks. So what it does, if there's 13 or more engineers in the chain, the bonus from connections is increased by 30%, and all your engineers have an extra 5% chance of critical damage. So this is kind of the opposite of the optimization. If you have a deck that you can really work around, you're just going to be spawning tons of engineers. That's the entire goal of your deck. If you can get those 13 engineers in the chain, you can get a massive just damage boost, critical chance damage boost, which that critical chance is huge just because it is based on all the merged units in your deck that factors into that how much critical damage you can do. So the bonus 5% critical damage chance is really nice. And then finally, the level 15 talent. So merging now also spawns a part. So anytime you merge, it'll spawn a part, and which just will help trigger all these previous talents. And then in addition, the part has a 10% chance of increasing the engineer's merge rank, which that becomes a really nice one just because having bonus merge rank basically for free, especially when you're just spawning more parts as the game goes on, it just really kind of is a capstone, helps your engineer overall, and just becomes a really strong unit. But thanks for watching. Let me know if you have any questions.